Hey guys, how you doing? I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holidays, depending on what you celebrate. I know I ate more food than I even cared to admit. Well, over the Christmas break, we got another submission from a viewer. And although this one isn't totally about personal finance, it is about the future and some of the anxiety that comes with thinking about the future. This viewer is a freshman in college, and they're currently experiencing some of the existential crises that all students face at some point. Questions about their general passions, about the major that they're studying, about their career path moving forward. All questions that have implications for their college experience. Hey Alex, I appreciate the last couple of videos you made. It's nice to know we don't always have it figured out. I thought I'd reach out just to talk about my situation and how I'm feeling about it. I'm 18 years old and in my freshman year of college. I'm attending UT Austin, studying exercise science. A Longhorn. Recently, I've been really stressing about my future. What career I'll choose, how much I'll make, how I can afford to live, financial things like that. My biggest fear is working every day of my life until I'm too old to enjoy it. When I decided to go to college, my parents and I made an agreement that they would cover half of my tuition, and I would have to cover the rest. Because I pay in-state tuition, my half is about $6,000 a year. I talked to my parents and decided to pull out student loans so I could use my part-time job to pay for living expenses and fund money. I got approved this year at 8.25%, and by the way, my job is at a gym where I make $10.75 an hour. I've had some family members tell me I should change majors or go after the typical dream of being a doctor or lawyer. They pretty much say I won't be successful with my current major. But what do you think? Should I change majors? Should I switch to business or finance? I'm getting more into personal finance, and I think it's a career I'd be okay with if I'm making a lot of money. Thanks for hearing me out. Viewer. Alright, first of all, thanks for the submission. It takes a lot of guts to put your story out there for other people to learn from. The agreement with your parents is that they'll pay one half and you'll pay the other half, and your half is $6,000. So let's just assume that in-state tuition is $12,000 a year. And I say assume because that number is quite variable, and there's a really good chance that next year that number will go up. But to keep things simple, let's roll with that assumption that the cost to attend your school will remain unchanged over the next 4 years. So if it's $6,000 a year that you're on the hook for over the next 4 years, that amount of student loans will total $24,000. It's difficult to estimate what your actual costs are for borrowing $24,000 in student loans because you didn't specify what type of student loans they are. Are they federal loans? And if they are they subsidized or are they not? Are they plus or are they private? Why that matters is because depending on the type of student loan, the terms of the loan itself are going to be quite different. Some of the factors that change with the student loan type are things like what is the interest rate that you're facing, both in number and in structure? Is it fixed or is it variable? When the repayment period is initiated may change. Are there significant fees involved? Is interest compounded or is it simple? And of course, when it's all said and done, are there opportunities for you to have that student loan forgiven? Oh, it's also worth mentioning that if you have a federal loan, there are more flexible repayment plans available to you than if you were to go private, in general. So the student loans were taken out to cover the cost of tuition, and I'm assuming that housing is worked somewhere in there. And you have a part-time job to pay for your other expenses and, as you said, fund money. And that job is at a local gym working part-time for $10.75 an hour. And the reason why I'm reiterating this is because you deserve massive credit. Working any amount of time while going to school full-time is extremely impressive. That takes dedication, resilience, and a deeper understanding of doing the things you need to do to get to where you want to be. And on top of that, because you work, statistics show that your path forward is much harder than someone that doesn't work. Let's highlight that students that work while they're going to college are having to juggle not just classes and study hall, but all of the other aspects of college that make it worth going to. The socializing, the friends, the networking, the parties, and just the general daily routines of everyday students. You get your list of all of the things that college students have to do, and you also have to juggle the roles and responsibilities of your job. And when you graduate, because I know you will, it is that much more of an accomplishment because you worked this whole time. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of major selection and how you can be a little more strategic moving forward, let me just say that you have time to figure it all out. In the context of the college journey, you just finished your first semester as a freshman. For all intents and purposes, you're a noob. You're a beginner. You're a level 1. So to expect yourself to have everything figured out, that's just not realistic. And you may be saying to yourself, well, yeah, I understand that, but there are tons of peers in my classes and in my dorm rooms that seem to have it all figured out. And to that I say it's because those individuals have been planning their college experience for a very long time. They've had resources available to them that others typically don't. Okay, but let's get into my recommendations on how you should approach college moving forward. And please keep in mind, this is in the context of you are developing anxiety around your financial prospects and your career. The first thing is to consider changing majors and minoring in your passion. Here's what I mean. A lot of the times, students will go to college with the sole intention of pursuing their passions. But the problem with that is that not everyone's passion is easily translatable to the career world. Some examples I could think of is if you decided to study film, or theater arts, or music. There is nothing inherently wrong with those majors. It's just statistically less probable that you make a lot of money after you graduate. And if money isn't driving your decisions, then by all means, please pursue your passions. And the truth is, I'm making a huge assumption here. You could be pursuing exercise science with the intention of going into medicine or going into physical therapy, which entails a master's program of some sorts and certifications. But I'm going to assume that you chose exercise science because you love fitness. And I'm only making that assumption because your part-time job is at a local gym. And I don't blame you, because when I first got to college, I was thinking about majoring in kinesiology or trying to spin some sort of sports physical therapy so that I could continue my pursuit of my passion, which at the time was going to the gym. And if you decide to pursue exercise science, the path forward is going to be more difficult than if you picked a different major. If you look at the national average salary for exercise science, you'll see that it's $56,000 a year. That salary is totally fine. It's right in line with the national average. But because you sent an email describing an anxiety around finances, something tells me that earning the national average won't be good enough for you. So if you're pursuing exercise science because your passion is the gym and physical fitness, my recommendation would be to pursue that through a minor. That way you're still taking a course load on something that you're passionate about, something that just generally interests you. And if the minor is where you're pursuing your passion, well, then your major needs to be a little more strategic in the context of financial well-being. And actually, I just recently did a short video on this, but the majors that make the most amount of money right after they graduate are going to be the STEM majors. Your math, your finance, your economics, all of the engineerings, computer science, and to some extent, some of the biological sciences that can be leveraged to do nursing or become a physician. And these are metrics for those that have just graduated. It's not taking into account people with 10, 15, 20 years of experience like that national average did for exercise science. If the name of the game is to maximize your salary, then you're going to want to stick with majors in these categories. Those same majors continue to make above average salary going into the mid-career. I mean, the lowest median wage is $100,000 if you study finance, and it goes as high as $120,000 if you studied chemical engineering. And I get it. What typical person grows up with a passion for mechanical engineering or aerospace engineering? Most of us don't even get exposure to that type of stuff until we reach college. So my advice would be to explore the different course loads under each of these majors and find something that you might not be passionate about, but it's at least satisfying to you. I read a great quote in a book about big tech, and it was to not pursue your passions, but to pursue what you're good at. So go explore some of these high earning majors, and you may find that you're good at one of them, and then pursue that. And here's the beautiful thing about majoring in something that enhances your career prospects and minoring in something that's more aligned with your passions. At some point in your career, you're going to have the skill set that will allow you to find the intersection. You'll quite literally have the ability to use this skill set that is so valuable to then inject value into something more aligned with your passions. Whether that's through innovation or entrepreneurship, or taking this skill set and going to work for a company that's in the fitness industry or in exercise science. So you're making a bunch of money with this skill set that you strategically chose in college to then work for a company that aligns with your passions. And because you minored in that passion, you have a general knowledge of those concepts, and you can be a direct contributor to what they're doing over there. And I honest to God hate simplifying college into just strategy, because it takes away some of the experience that makes college special. But here's the truth. When you take out student loans to attend college, it has now become an investment. And when you've turned school into an investment, well then the priority here is a return on investment, maximizing that ROI, and then everything after that takes a lesser priority. Going back to what I said about majoring in film or music, because you're looking at this as an investment now, you have now leveraged debt to then get a return in the future. Well, that return is a lot smaller than if you were to pursue a major that was on the previous list. Another general recommendation I would make, because you're becoming interested in personal finance, is to start investing small accounts. If I was you, every time I got a paycheck from working at the gym, I would take a small amount of that and invest it in the S&P 500. And the idea being is that you are going to learn how to be a good investor as early as possible. I wish that I had started investing at 18. I would be so much further ahead of where I am today. By investing early, you're going to learn how to be consistent through the good times and the bad, especially the bad. You're going to have to learn to deal with the emotional side of seeing your portfolio go up and down in value, and sometimes sporadically and by large amounts. We get hit with a recession, try to still invest and don't touch it. We get hit with a depression, try to still invest and don't touch it. If you consistently invest into the S&P 500 or another asset of your choosing, hopefully diversified, over the next 4 years, by the time you graduate, you will be, I promise you, a terrific investor. And is it going to be because you have this massive portfolio worth millions of dollars? No, it's not. But you'll have the emotional fortitude that is required to be a great investor. So when it's time to graduate and you get your first job, and that job is awesome because you picked a major with high earning potential, well, then you do everything that you were doing with your small accounts, but you just up the amount that you were contributing. You take the same principles of consistency, emotional fortitude, and general asset diversification. You take that into your adult life, and you're going to be well off. One last note that I want to make that kind of popped in my head while doing this video is how important it is to network while you're in college. Networking is so important for securing your investment. Not only will it open doors for your career and professional path, but you're also going to meet a lot of great people that you never know will help you along the way. It's a chance to collect resources and get a good feeling for what your college has to offer. The benefits of college go way beyond just the classes and the tests and the degree. Through networking, you might find potential business partners, possible clients when building a book of business, and just that person that gives you general direction for anything that you might have questions about. So whenever you have a chance to go network at some meet and greet or some party, go do it. I know those things can be awkward. I used to hate them, but I promise they will pay dividends. Alright, and with that, let's end the video here, because I could go on and on about college. A huge thanks again to the viewer that submitted this email. I appreciate the openness and your willingness to share with others. Remember that time is on your side, and although life is short, it seems that way because we fail to live in the significance of right now. So if you operate with intention, with a dedication to yourself, you have all the time in the world to build a life of your own and learn the skills that you need to do so. If you're interested in participating in this series, you can submit an email to askalexherrera@gmail.com. I'll be looking forward to seeing your email. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself, and best of luck.